People on the phone are just getting started and we're waiting for the dial to stop spinning. Is everybody properly ozonated? How are you doing? This is Patrick. Boy, you guys seem a long ways away, so let's get you closer. Hi guys, how are you? What's up, fellow Homo sapiens? Um, uh, mm, yeah, on low, please. How's everybody doing? Is the transmission and the technology good? Thank you for showing up on this season 32, episode 10. There's some very interesting energies up here in Upper New York, and so today we're gonna work on that. It's kind of weird, wearing this particular outfit because I think it's like a pioneer shirt. And Rebecca says, "Oh, it looks great." So I'm like, because we're getting ready to go into that time. No, it's not needed. And so it throws the light off when we're just doing some lighting checks. Can you guys hear and see okay? Perfect. So we got good tech, everything else. I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get right into this. And literally wasting time. This is about restoring universal time for those of you who are on this broadcast. So yay, let's see what's happening. A lot of times when I create these subject matters for the Kartron experience, I get an idea and I write it, but then sometimes it doesn't even go any further until it's activated. And it's kind of like a flash drive from the cosmos because, you get this thing, it gets loaded up like a cartridge, and then when it's time, it goes boink. And then well, those of you who've been on in the subscription broadcast, you know what happens next. And so this one is about restoring universal time. And those of you who got the newsletter, then we are going to be doing some very interesting things tomorrow. We're going to see about awakening the souls, according to Rebecca's team, of the ones that are connected with basically the whole Northeast, or a good portion of it, this whole section, because it had those covenants and compacts. And I realized that this is all basically leading up to the church because it was the church that actually um, created these papal bulls in the 1400s that said that anybody who's not a Christian can be considered a savage and you will gentrify, indoctrinate, enslave, and take their stuff. And so I wrote this in about 1997 for the King of Hawaii to the Pope. I said, you need to exorcise your power. because the Vatican has the most indigenous blood on its hands of any organization in the world. And so it's kind of like a power grab of all the good stuff. And these Indian guys, no matter how much karma they've had, they were working on just taking care of the planet. And so it kind of culminated up to the last 1,000 years with the whole Iroquois Compact, which actually the United States Constitution used a lot of things from, and also women's rights and stuff like that, right? Because it was the women who chose the chiefs. And so we found this really cool grave, and hopefully, if the weather's right tomorrow, you guys can join us. And it seems like we got a good signal, not only with Verizon, but with heaven and earth, and maybe a little hell mixed in. And so we're going to see about what we can do to help create a redemption of those souls. And so that'll be tomorrow. So we're going to do this. We're just going to see what happens. And what we want is for you guys, if you want to participate, you veterans of this spiritual experience, to hold the energy wherever you are, because we're getting ready to open up a very big issue. And so if you guys want to be a part of this real world greater work process and ready to really help a lot of beings, hopefully, then tune in tomorrow at about 3 p.m. Eastern and we will see. So this will be the project that I think the universe brought us up here for, among other things. But it's like, it seems like this was a very prominent thing because it did come in the form of people and other things. And so this particular site was chosen because a person went up there, and this is the one where the princess or the maiden of the Mohawk would sing to people when they'd sit there, especially after midnight at her gravesite, and it's got a big, I think, 14 or 17-foot obelisk. So this is a very interesting thing where she then still to this day does things, but maybe it's time for a reanimation of those who have passed on, and a redefinition of that phrase dead, because do we ever really die? I'll talk to you guys later. Kartron's going to come through. Let's see what's happening. Is everything great? And so, pan-dimensional, I get to read this sometime. Do the frequencies for a Rife machine need updated? I don't know. I never studied Rife. But Royal Rife was definitely ahead of his time. Those scientists, Keeley, Lachowski, Tesla, Rife, those guys, right around the turn of the century, I think that there was a bigger timeline coming in. I mean, we got a coil and a quantum generator. We're not going to set up a QFG at a grave site, but maybe we won't have to, because this particular site, if it works, has a lot of antennas, which you will see. So we're going to bring some really good, powerful, experienced people there. And if you guys want to participate, we'd really appreciate that, because we may be moving a whole boatload of stuck energy, and we'll see. This cemetery, like Rebecca said, on a scale of 1 to 10, seems to have a little bit of the 10 going on. So we want to find the worst place and start clearing it up. So you guys don't have to, but it's going to be fun. We'll talk to you later. Life is good. The end of this broadcast is if you can no longer keep track of when something is, you become the perfect moment. Because the universe has a very different set of chronological references than what is predominant here on this planet in this dimension of human perception. The nature of your existence, if you are on this particular broadcast, is such that you are facilitators, you are progenitors of that next level of reality, and also you are here to kind of co host this, right? And so, even that job is starting to go a little wonky, isn't it? Because how many of you are attempting to maybe still use the references of who you are, what you're doing, your greater purpose, and then it seems a little mushy around the edges? And so this is what happens to continuums when a ascension or a paradigm or whatever completes and it goes through major changes is the time fields that they use to set the rate or the meter of the progress and process of this experience. That too becomes, plasticine. So your continuums, your time is becoming rather a little like Play-Doh. So good luck on using a Play-Doh like measurement that can change if you push it or whatever, because it's like push it, keep it pushing. What's that song, Rebecca? Ooh, baby, baby. Push it good. Yeah, so we're gonna push the time good today. Push it real good. Maybe you can come up and get the choir going and we can then push it, baby. Because we're going to take this chronological time is money and put it where it needs to be, right? With those who are considering it as your reference. Now, there's the thirders, right? You guys notice how some 3D level people seem to be not affected? And that's good for them. But what's being cocked and ready, loaded up in the cartridge that's going to unload is all this stuff that's going on, even though it's not within their perception, their thin band of observation of how they see reality. It doesn't mean it's not happening. So it's like, oh, we can't see air, therefore it not exists. It's this process that is getting ready for them. And so you guys are going to be really holding the place of stillness while this chaos does the necessary things for paradigm completions. So how are you guys doing today? There is a new level of process coming in. And how many of you have noticed that even though we often do mess with chronologies and other things, that this particular series has some rather unstableness to it? Because we are basically coming into an undefined territory of possibility. And so Patrick has been very thrown off by all of this because one of the things he has noticed over the years is that when the teams upstairs don't say much, and then there's something very important happening that they are told to stand down on. So if you guys aren't getting much information right now, then you're on schedule and it's not anything you are or are not doing. So basically, what's your job in this? It is to continue to be available to become who you truly are and continue the process of basically a constant state of momentary recalibration, resetting. You are being remade, and so for the Lightworker matrix, just to let you know that the collective part of this continual, what's going on the evolution of collectiveness for this human species that you were basically the tenders of, is you are being constantly reset because your role as a spiritual shepherd, mentor, handler, or whatever, manager of these legged souls, is continuously changing in relation to the potentiality of the nation state of consciousness of evolution, of ascension, and fulfillment of this prophecy. Meaning it's always changing and it's evolving. So what works right now could be different in 5 seconds from now. So your position can no longer afford to use chronology as it is conventionally known as a reference because you'll just be kind of like, you probably feel left behind, or what was that? Or gee, that was so last minute ago. So to do this, it's necessary to restore the proper chronology or the measurement of, the dynamics of unfoldment. We will be using the procession in the heavens, the celestial nature that the universe uses, so that the movement of the celestial bodies of astronomy and astrology use, because it's just the movement of this stuff. And that's what they use to calibrate and determine the rates of things in different systems and galaxies and dimensions, etc. So are you guys ready to begin the process of getting to where you no longer have any more time? Are you ready to be out of time? Are you ready to basically have an unlimited, a moment that is ongoing? It's a perpetualness. Your beings are designed, the training and the things that we've put you through to be able to, you're like morphogenic, and you guys can change between dimensions and calibrate. You notice how among light workers, you guys are like easy to pop up into some celestial realm or talk with some guides or transmit something and then be 3D and stuff like that. And if we asked you as beings, were part of this Kartron experience, in relation to a lot of other light workers, do you consider yourself less, equal, or more functional than a lot of them who are going through what the heck is this type of phase in their lives? And Rebecca, Michelle Mullet saying the energies have been very tense. She really needed this broadcast. Well, Michelle, here's the weather report, the galactic weather report about this process that's going to happen tomorrow if everything works the way it's supposed to. There's going to be ripples in the realms of both the living and the dead. It's going to be that which is going to start changing that once was and that which will be. And then, of course, it's going to be changing this now according to the fact that there's going to be new energies coming from both directions into this moment. And so there's a destabilization feeling that you'll feel. And the intensities of this is really great because the potentiality of what could happen is, well, the better scenario could be we could help millions of souls on both sides of the veil start to wake up because they've been asking for it. And so this particular obelisk happens to be a great antenna in multiple dimensions, and we're going to see if we can phone home all the different ways. Because it is time for all beings to be renewed, isn't it? It is time for the dark to consider the light and the light to consider the dark. It is time for beings to perhaps lay down the goggles that they've used to perceive reality and be available to start taking away all filters and be open to what the universe is giving them at any particular moment. For there are so many miracles that are on their way. And if you have the ability to continue to be available, then you can be this vessel that not only receives this miraculous process, but is able to transmit it to others. So, because there's going to be a lot of stuckness, and a lot of people, if they hold on, the more they hold on, trauma is determined by the resistance to change. But if you can facilitate people to be open to just continuing to allow the flow of this ever changing world in which we live in to continue to just go by and not hold on to any boulder in the river of this flow of awakening, then there will be a much greater peace, a possibility of peace and tranquility through this most chaotic time that has destroyed the human race in civilizations past. And so today it is time to be available to the divinity, the way it is operating. You guys are okay with this? Yes? Yes, Joanne, still point. We will start with that. Used to take a few breaths, and now we'll do one. On the first breath, Archangel Michael, please sound the clarion call as we open the portal of the Grand Hall of the Archangels. Breathe in yourselves, everybody. Hold it, because you're really going to let yourself go. And we're not talking like gaining weight here, although we have some extra. If somebody else would like it, you'll know it is available, and you can have a piece of Kartron. Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna frame my piece of daddy's belly. Lippo, Lippo, where you gonna go, yo, Lippo? Cryo, cryo. We so hear the ode to weightness of this planet. And Patrick's like, you guys suck. If you're going to say we're going to gain weight to ground out the energy, no, there's other ways to do this. Meh. And so it's really entertaining to watch him try to be disgruntled, but he can only admit the truth of saying, damn it, why are you so right all the time? Screw you, have a nice day. His conflicting quality is really unique. And so, Patrick often is channeling you guys too, because he's like, ah, but there's a couple things, and see if this applies to you. That has happened to him and Rebecca, but mostly to Patrick, is that certain systems in this society have worked. Like he went up to Canada and they said, we could arrest you. And it's for some silly cell phone ticket. And he went up there and says, well, I just want to find out if I can come in. We're in Canadian territory. We could arrest you. It's like, just go over there. We're going to figure out what to do. And they couldn't read the traffic abstract that says cell phone ticket paid. It's okay. It says, oh, here, you're okay. And so Patrick, well, this is the most pleasant Canadian moment I've ever had. And so then he comes and tries to get a legality of a trailer in a state he's not a resident of. He's like, well, I don't know. Let's just go and see. And then it happened. He then works on determining other things of legal nature and all of that. And these things, which usually are bureaucratic snafus, are starting to be nice. And one of the things that he is finding in all of this is that a sincerity is necessary because you are talking with the human that is in the office, that has a flap jacket with guns, or whatever you're dealing with. Because there is a human soul that is also awakening in every position of the highest high and the lowest low, the lightest light and the darkest dark. You see, it is the human quality that can awaken humanity and also give redemption to the gods. This curse is also a timing mechanism that we are going to see about changing. For this peace compact came from centuries of war before that, 1,000 years ago. And so now, here it is 1,000 years later, and then 500 years later, it's a cycle of a loop, you see. And so here you are facilitating this in this body in this time. And it's like, wow, you guys are making it possible for us to really straighten up the prophecy and the divine plan. Does this make sense, or does it sound like a bunch of jarbled stuff? And so, are you guys ready? Let's see what you're saying. Okay, Madalena is saying that the upstairs is starting to declare they're going to just proceed with delivery. And that is correct. And so, Madalena, but that's not the reset process that, although we're going to move ahead, Chinese elders are mad at Trump. And no, this is something very different, okay? Just to let you know that there's some working behind the scenes of the puppetry of the penis that goes on in world headquarters nowadays. It is a nature of the process for this evolution to be expressed. How it is expressed has determined the fact that there has been destructions of golden ages in times past because it didn't turn out so well when different interests, there we go, different interests came in and says, we're going to do it this way and that way and that way. So there's some extra protocol in to basically mitigate any extreme damage. So a damage control has been put in, but we're not going to stop it from absolutely annihilating itself, because then that would be a violation of the covenant of the divine. So this termination is going to happen in a very not controlled state, because who needs any more control? Let it flow, let it evolve. Patrick is like, well, if there's a reset, if there's a quantum computer system, if there's a thing, if Trump is the savior of Jesus or whatever, then guys, just tell the truth. Get it over with. The people are, what are you scared of? The fact that the truth will come back and reflect exactly what's going on through the illusion that everybody thinks that need to keep people, oh, we're going to control this. It's like, you know what? Screw that. If you don't do this, we're just going to drop all veils. And we're going to see what color everybody's underwear is, and if they're wearing the opposite gender's underwear. Because the clock is ticking. Why do you think the whole system is really freaking out? Because it doesn't have God as a backup, like you who have been so devoted to the masters and been part of the light. It's like you are not in this world's hurry, and you are not in its demise. It is having to basically go through its entropy and its decay rate because this is complete. And so we are not wanting to bring in some hope into a dark cycle, which would taint it with a lighter energy. We need the purest form of dark to express itself. And then it's like, okay, shut that light off, take that program out. So what this is basically an unengineering of this 13,000-year mess up that you guys are in. And this was like the experiment. It's like now they're doing an autopsy of this paradigm. And it's like, whoa, this is an interesting layer. Oh, it's still alive and squirming. Put it in this bin. And we're going to study that further. And oh, look at this. This turned out really good. Let's not do that again. The collapse that happened of golden ages in the past has not allowed for such inspirational investigation as is available right now. So that's what is going on and why it's taken longer because extra care, kid gloves have been put in to make sure that the dysfunction is as pure as possible. Does this make sense? Because you need a pure shadow in order to get a full reading without the taint of the light. This way, you know exactly what's going on. You don't have to redo the experiment. Who's going to want to stick around another 10 millenniums in some other world? You guys? Really? Besides, this is a drama-free zone. And so, let's do this work, shall we? Do you remember the time field that we placed in your angelic crystal shields? And so, let's see, how are we going to do this with you guys? Because we're talking about another protocol workaround. Um, okay. As we scan this, we are looking at different levels of databases because you are talking about not being bound to the veil, the side of the veil of that quote living, but in the eternal now, that we are looking at creating restoration of universal time. There also has to be this part of you that can be chronologically based so that you can still interact with the world. Otherwise, you become this listless thing in a somatic state. And who needs another quantum zombie? Um, so, everybody, take that again, the first breath of self. Hold it. And when you exhale, go into your still point. Okay. And let go. All right, breathe in your spiritual purpose and hold it. And then exhale, let it go, fall back into solace. Third time, let's go into soul. Take a breath of the soul above. Hold it. And fall back into the soul where the veil is being parted within you by the angels. As you fall back into this, this is the state of no time. You see, we've been giving you no time ever since we got you to your souls. And so this process is we're going to make it more formalized. For those who was a part of these other broadcasts where we created your own time field, do you recall that a couple subscription broadcasts ago? We used an angelic crystal shield and we could create whatever frequency and reality, dimensional reality within that angelic crystal shield, and then we mirrored it outside. So now envision your mirrored shield, angelic crystal shield outside of you, like an encapsulation. Remember, it's a filter. It keeps weird energy out. It filters it so that only divinity comes to you except for that which you invoke of a non-divine nature. And so this, some of you will get this. We're going to project some of you to the ceremony tomorrow, a part of you. Okay, not fully. So, are you, those who are ready, are you guys, we're going to create a stitching, right? So, to that moment of this moment, and then we're already using some of you for that. Now, it may seem different than going into the universal time, but it is the same thing because we're going to stitch that already, because that moment tomorrow will be able to access more universal time than does now, because some of you are also bound by the ramifications of the agreements that we are looking at freeing up tomorrow. Does that make sense? Um, are we still buffering? Let's see. We're going to switch to the, this may stall. Let's see. We're going to, guys, we're going to change to the local Wi-Fi here. And let's see what happens. Rebecca, could you send the link to Shivani? You got it sent to you for this broadcast this evening. Or if somebody else could, Didi Master Rain. And so, all right, guys, are we still on? Is this still working? Okay, so we just hooked into this super Wi-Fi over here, and is it working now? One last check. Okay, good. It was the phone signal we were using. We switched to the local center Wi-Fi. So, did you guys hear all the things that we were doing? And so, this angelic crystal shield mirrored out is what reflects, if you recall, the world around you to itself. Quantum perception defines the universe, so they will see themselves, so therefore they can see you as them, which then allows you to not be at the vibrational capacity where they can perceive it, which then allows you to become the vibration that you really want, which is your own native state of divinity. Right? Imagine if your shell, your angelic shield, could be there in your stead, and you can do all sorts of really cool vibrational stuff in that angelic crystal shield without it phasing into this 3D world. So people are like, oh, you're one of us. At the same time, you're communing with the councils of Venus. And so it's like a spacesuit in some ways. Bigfoot said something good, Rebecca. The first instinct is divinity. And that is true. And Bigfoot, if you look at it, the first instinct is not only just divinity, it's not the complicated things that philosophies of the mind see. It is basically the primordial instinct that children have as a natural state. When you look into the eyes of an enlightened child and they see through your soul, then the whole universe makes sense, doesn't it? You see, as this complication goes away, there's a lot of paradigm holic stuff that's going to be going. And then people are basically kind of feeling a little Alzheimer-y and indigent. It's like, because you guys are being made to not able to hold on to all that stuff that complicates your lives. And so the first instinct is one way to call it. The heart of a child, the divinity of the mind of the innocent. And so breathe in the soul within you and let it mingle. We're going to keep that circulation going. So each breath, you'll be breathing the soul for the rest of this session. Saint Germain, open the gateway to the halls of wisdom. Kuan Yin, could you open to the states of grace? Now, guys, an effect of being in the universal time is that you'll be able to start getting influences of grace into your existence. But that state of grace isn't time right now. Let's get you set to where it's more stable because you don't want this glitching. Oh my God, I got this weird stuff. Oh, so nice. Weird stuff. Oh my God, bipolar universe. It's not the best way to do this. And there's no rush because in this universal time, is there mortality? Is there time? Are you growing older? Are you subject to the ravages of chronology? You are getting into your spiritual reality, not even a dynamic. And that's the state of divine beingness. You see, if you recall in many of your teachings, you will hear word of this that we are mentioning. It is the divine state. It is like, and when you get into an enchanted flow, you'll think that you found the best drug and somebody slipped it in and you want more. Because the enchantment, the synchronicity, the flow, oh, you've got basically a magic life going on. Many of you, as we scan, have had those moments, but not in a stable fashion. And so we are going to re reference you to yourself, not to the world around you this evening. So the Nate, did you do that? Send that, Rebecca? Um, maybe. Oh, she may not know that it's from us if it's from you. It is from the Kartron email, not the newsletter. All right, so everybody, here's the situation. Some of you are already in tomorrow. You are holding the place. We will facilitate this like we did in Tubac, Arizona. There was a pretty wild rodeo going on when the Civil War opened up. Abe Lincoln came by and stuff like that. And so we're going to be facilitating this in case it gets a little rodeo-ish, but it should be pretty nice. But it is necessary for those voices that have been silenced to be heard. So there's a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, a lot of charge, right? Because most of it has ended in tragedy. You, as beings of light, will hold that place, not using your own energy because you do not want that kind of quantum hangover. And we'll show you how to not involve yourself and you'll involve your presence. And this will then really, really give you an idea because if you, we are looking at if we can do that for this particular dynamic, imagine the collective issues that we can handle safely and harmoniously as we start opening the great, larger collective bindings upon the human race, its soul, and the mind of humankind. And so, thank you for those who are already working on tomorrow. And as we move into this moment, now what's really cool is if you are not chronologically based, right? Are you stuck in any moment in that chronological measurement? This isn't, don't go around like fanatics jumping into the 1800s and checking out Greece. And this is, but we're letting you know that you're no longer primarily referenced by that, which is like tick tock, time is money, pay the bill. There's a whole other set of dynamics, just to let you guys know, to give you an idea of what's involved here. It isn't about, oh, I have no time. It's about a different kind of science. You have a different kind of dynamics. What are the physics like? How does it work between dimensions? How are you going to operate in that universal time in a world that doesn't? How are you going to interact with this? How does that work as far as translating it between the different cells? Because part of you will be chronologically based and the other part will be universally based. Now, this has been notoriously, right? You got your spiritual self and your physical life, but we are talking about really, really, really bringing this in so that your universality can become your physicality. You are the beta testers of this process. So are you guys okay with us using you as a soft cosmic lab experiment bunny rabbits to figure this out, to create a universal time template for the workers of light? If this broadcast does not happen for whatever reason, because it could be raining, it could be whatever, then just intend it at 3 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Time. Rebecca's spotlight will be on at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that's where, she'll laser focus the healing upon your requests. And so now it's time to invoke a very different resonance within your soul. As we open up the veil between source and soul within you, take a breath of your soul energy and hold it. And this is the inner soul, the animus, the flame of life within you from the gods. Exhale, fall back into the source, which is not soul specific. This flame of mastery now surrounds and consumes you. Let this source, undefined, this light, this radiation, this energy, just remove yourself as an individual. And as this happens and you fade away, you are left with this spark of light from the heart of God in the crucible of creation. You are now holding that point of source within yourself in this world. Now, breathe in the source and become God. Ready? Hold it. It doesn't mean I'm a co-creator thing. This is about you becoming the same as the God essence. So now we will do a bit of invocation so that we can imprint this into your soul matrix. Matrix, your individual point, not the whole collective. You will figure out, if you haven't got it already, what we're doing with you. Now breathe in the source one more time and breathe it out to your soul, inside. Breathe in another breath of source and breathe it out to your spirit. And breathe in another breath of source. Breathe it out to yourself. And do not breathe it any further right now. Now we're going to show you a bit of what can be done from this place of existence. Existence isn't really the word anymore, is it? It's a state of beingness. It's a point in creation of essence that you are becoming. With this essence of source, is there any imbalances? Are there any expressions of distortion? Is there anything out of alignment? Is there anything that's got this polarization? Or is it time now to allow this light that shines within you to begin an infinity loop between source and soul? And now it goes out from source to spirit. And now it goes out to source to self. And it's a trinfinity, a triple infinity. And this calibrates yourself to your spirit, to your soul, to your source. Holy, holy, holy. Esperato. Within the light of heaven, shining the heart of God, a brilliance which shines out into creation, illuminating all form and manner of design. within this fabric of the universe, of the creations of form and function, are these facets of light, these suns of the universe. And it is this light that now becomes you. Distance is not between you and Source, for you as one shine so brightly. Breathe in this source of the universe itself and allow it to mingle into this sacred life. For every act, action, deed, occurrence, connection, experience, relationship, seen from this point of the universe is known as divine. Everything in your existence then is made of divinity. The nature of your soul is defined by the source from whence it is, and it is this flame of one that now becomes you. Breathe in the central sun of all the universe, and now breathe it out into yourself as a son of God. And now this infinity weaves between the source of all creation and the light within your soul. As this grows brighter, more concentrated, you will feel certain things, not of perfection, start to vibrate up to the surface. Let them go. For God has another design for those things that you have beheld. For each way that you have seen things that is let go of, a greater sight of God replaces it. And this is how the wisdom of God goes into your mind. As this light now weaves into the fabric of your beings, the spiritual, the emotional, the mental, the physical, this fabric, this matrix of light of source, now interwoven, begins the transmorphogenesis of your vessels on earth into bodies of light for what the earth is becoming. In this, you are being transformed as the stewards of the new earth. To be so one with that light beyond the earth, this is never subject to the world that your body is. It has notoriously been so very high it could not come in, lest it destroy and devastate the worlds of matter. This day, it is you who holds such power and such light safely in the world. You are to hold this energy. That is all. See it now. Feel it. Recognize it. What does it look like? Can you feel it? Is there energy, light? Is there a quality like heat or something? Bring it to mind. Become aware of this source and how different it is. And now we imprint this into your beings, to your psyche, etc. We were going to put you into a pocket of the eternal moment of this broadcast. Instead, it was time to bring you home. This light is for you, not for the world yet. You want to calibrate, to become its familiar, to hold this energy. It is not the time to show you how to use it. Well, that is another great adventure. This is a sanctuary of creation itself. And now we will design a passageway between this realm within you and your physical world. So on the count of 3, breathe in the source, and when you exhale, get into your body. 1, 2, 3. Hold it, and exhale, and show up in your bodies now. Feel it. It's heavy, it's solid. You've got the body's gravity, breathing. Okay, now on the count of 3, breathe in the air of earth, hold it, and then when you exhale, go back into that source light. 1, 2, 3. And then exhale, let it go, and fall back into that pure source light that you just came from. We calibrated this so that you can have a reference between the different possibilities. When life will cause you to come out into its world, then you can breathe, perhaps with one breath, into the source of creation within you. So within the time for one breath of life, you can be in heaven. Be in the soul and look out now. Look at the world, but you're in your source. What does it look like? If you are source, what is in the world? Divine reality. Every part of it is part of this amazing design. To see that, look not for the answer has already appeared. And this will take you out of the tachyonic field which draws and hooks you into materiality. For there is a flow in the universal time. There is no hindrance, no stopping, no resistance. It flows. And if you are able to be a part in that ocean of the universe, then you can be in this amazing reality in this life right now. We will not get into the designs of how to bring this out or live it or use it or change you. Getting you here is enough for this process now. And if you get this, then you have gone beyond so many other experiences or lessons necessary because you're already home. Therefore, we can take you no further at this time, and you are now going to just experience it. We showed you the way to your bodies with one breath. Use that system and then keep going back and forth because this will calibrate and stitch you, stitching fabrics, stitching destiny, stitching reality. And as you do that, each thread that is joining the fabric that was torn asunder together, a new plan emerges, and you, the seamstress of its tapestry. We are complete. Thank you for being a part of this season 32. Just be in this energy. Feel it. Eventually, it will become you. This is Kartron. This is the final broadcast of this season, and tomorrow should be rather interesting. Have a wonderful day and a beautiful ascension. Farewell. When you have to get into a car or drive or do something else physical, breathe into your body. Show up. And then when you need some time off, go into the source of the soul. How is everybody doing? I want to thank you guys for being so supportive because you've allowed this to go this long since 2013, right? So, wow, let's see what happens next. Some really cool things on the horizon. And this is now it's worth showing up for, right? So, we'll see what happens. And so, tomorrow should be very good. Rebecca's spotlight healing will be amplified by what will occur at 3 p.m. So, she's going to have some extra juice. Thank you guys. Okay, good. Whew. Yeah. You know my emails and stuff. Wow, that was good. Just remember, if you're going to be doing something physical, come into your body, and then you can breathe out of it into source. Tomorrow we are going to be using the obelisks in the cemetery. It was very disturbed. We went there last night, and very disturbed energy. Maybe more than one grave site there, grave cemetery yard, on maybe different layers. And so, if you guys want to help us see or whatever, we're going to see because we're going to use that as access to the whole thing to the best of our ability. If Kartron deals with certain energies, you'll get to see how he implements the what's called the dialoguing with darkness, because a lot of times that shadow needs some help. And they asked us to show up. So thank you guys, and I guess we'll talk to you later. If you're anything else, just email us and let us know what's going on because you might start getting visions now. Have a nice day. Aloha.